Guten Tag, peeps. It's Mella Ubedoble and
Elize.
and herzlich willkommen. So, today's topic is titled German. And what's going to happen in this video is Elize is going to outline the entire course for us. But before we get to that, please use this opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Do not forget to turn on those notifications and hit the like button for this video. Okay, so let's get started with this. Can you tell us what is German?
Okay, so German is actually one of the 10 most commonly spoken languages in the world, and it is quite a prominent language in Europe, and not many people might know, but it's not just spoken in Germany as a home language, so people in Switzerland also speak it, and people in Austria speak it, so it's quite an important language on the international stage. It's a very beautiful language according to me. Quite complex sometimes, but it's a significant language.
Yeah, I really think it's very beautiful. It is,
Yeah.
totally. Can you tell us exactly how do you study it at the university?
Okay, so here at the University of the Free State, German falls under the Department of Afrikaans, Dutch, German and French. So it's quite a group of languages thrown in there together. And then you can have it as a major, which you have for 3 years then you have completed the German course. Or you can have it as an extra subject like me. So German or language is not actually my main field or my main subject that I study. I actually study occupational therapy, but then I have German as an extra subject, which I really enjoy. So let me just tell you about my experience of having it as an extra subject. Okay, so let's start at first year. Now, when you want to take German as a subject in university, there are different routes that you can follow. So either you had it as a subject in school until matric, like a matric subject, or you never learned any German before. So luckily there's also the opportunity to take German if you have no prior experience whatsoever. But as for me, I did have German as a subject until matric, and I will just therefore tell you about my first year. So if you didn't have any previous experience with German, you start with a basic year. So you have a year of basic German, just introductory, and then you go on to the other first year. So the first year I did, and I'll tell you about that year, what it was like.
Okay.
So there are two parts to the German module, the German course as a whole. There's the language part and the literature part, which are both great and necessary for the overall German module. Yes, so I'll tell you about the language part first. That's basically where you learn all the things you need to speak the language, to write, and to read and listen. So that's the 4 things they focus on a lot. It's about speaking, reading, writing, and listening. And what's nice about the German module is we address all these grammar things by speaking about all relevant things that they find in life, in daily life. So we speak about all things that we are familiar with, like exercise and social media and technology, and
Very convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. So it's actually nice. We learn by doing, by practically applying. So the language and literature continues until 3rd year. That's how they structure it. It's just in the first year that I did, it's all thrown into one module. So it's one module, language and literature combined. And the module is actually called German language, culture and literature.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually a big part of it is also just exposing us to the German culture. So we learn a lot about Germany, because that's an important part. You can't just learn the language and know nothing about German.
Where it comes from.
Where it comes from. So
Where it's native.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we learn a lot about everyday things also in Germany, and then grammar topics, different grammar topics which we apply by writing and speaking, and reading and listening. And then in the 2nd year,
Could you tell me a little something about the German culture?
the German culture,
Or maybe something that stood out for you with the culture. Yeah.
it's fascinating, mate.
Yeah.
They are in some areas they are quite similar to what we in South Africa, and in other ways they are quite different. So yeah, so I think as South Africans we are very open, quite open to even to strangers, and so where in Germany they're more reserved. But when you get to know them, they're also they can also be very outgoing and friendly and warm. It's just they open up slightly later. But then there's the things like the German food, which is a big part of the culture, which I love, is the different kinds of German foods that there are. They like bread and cheese and bratwurst and different German foods. And then there's soccer, which they call Fußball. And so there's a lot of interesting parts to the German culture.
Can you tell me what is a very important thing to take note of when it comes to the accent of the language?
That's one of the difficult parts of learning a new language, is getting the accent right, which I still also sometimes struggle with. And so German as a language is close to the family of Dutch and Afrikaans. That's why it's sometimes easier to learn for me my home language, Afrikaans, and some of the words are similar, but the pronunciation, the accent, is quite different. The R they say is different to English, for example. So that's why you hear when German speakers speak English, you can hear that they are German.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I briefly said what we do in the language part, which is the grammar, and so now another quite interesting part of the module, the subject, is the literature part. And literature is, for some it's like a burden, it's a lot of work, but it's so fascinating. And the way the lecturer just opens up it's like opening you up to a new world. It's German literature, so it's a whole new horizon of different perspectives and just learning more about the language in a deeper way.
In a very narrative aspect, right? A very narrative element.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
And you learn also a lot about the culture. So where we discuss all kinds of relevant and current themes in the language part, we also see a lot of deeper aspects to the German culture and also the history in the literature we study. So in the first year we do more simpler forms of literature. We did poems and short stories. So it was very interesting. We focus also a lot on the history through the literature by looking at literature that comes from the war period. That was in the First World War and the Second World War, and we read all those kinds of classical German pieces. So and then there are short stories of all kinds of different authors we studied, and then we have to answer questions about it. So we write sort of like literary essays in German on this literature that you read. So you really you really deepen your knowledge and use of the language by engaging with literature and just giving your thoughts on it in German. So it's really a useful part of the module.
That's lovely. So that's first year?
Yeah, that's first year. Okay, so now we're at second year.
Second year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said, there's the language and the literature aspect. Only in this year, it's two separate modules. So there's the language module and the literature module. And unfortunately, I only could take the language module this year because of my other studies that I actually have to focus on, and it clashes a bit. So I only have the language module this year. But then, for example, it's a year module. So I have the whole year. I have language as the whole year long as one module, and then I can next year take this second year literature module to catch up sort of. Yes. So in the first year we did 2 semester modules where the language and literature was mixed, but this year it's 2 year-long modules. So language for a whole year, literature for a whole year.
Okay.
Yes. So in the language module we basically build on what we already know about German. So all the grammar, we learn a bit more complex grammar themes, and then focus all the more on applying that. So we speak a lot, we have to write a lot, we have to read and listen. All just basically is about applying German and being able to use it in real life. Okay, so and again it's through use of and by engaging with things that are relevant. So It's really cool.
Okay, I have a question. Do you guys ever have to present speeches or?
Yes, that's a stressful part. I think it's like in orals in school, so it's very stressful. But it's a very important part of learning the language is when you actually speak to people. So speeches, it's part of the assessment. So we write things for assessment for marks, and we do comprehension tests for marks and grammar. But then we also have the occasional oral examination, which is so it's what's exciting about that. So I'll get to that. Yeah, we're at the second year now. So in the second year, the level we're at now is it's about on the B1, B2 level. So according to the Europe classification of language proficiency, you start at A1, then you go up to A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and we're now at the B1, B2 level. And for that, the oral examinations have to comply to a certain format, and it's quite challenging, but it's interesting. So it's like a debate that you have to have with a partner in German. That's the one part of it, and the other part is where you just do a presentation on a topic that's known to you, that you just present. So it's unprepared. So you get like 15 minutes to prepare the debate and your individual presentation. But it's a lot of fun, stressful, but fun.
Is it always unprepared?
And for this year, on this level, it's unprepared. If you do it the official examination. So we did it, or our examination this year, we did it with that format, so that we can prepare for doing the actual exam. So when you want to be certified on the B2 level, you have to do the whole official process of doing this examination this way. So we already practiced it that way. So our examinations, our assessments was anyway in that format.
Wow, this is very interesting. Okay, so is that basically like what you guys do the whole year?
Yeah, it's our assessments comprise of writing and speaking and then comprehension. So it's the whole year like that. We have to do a certain amount of each of these.
Okay. Is there anything you can tell us about the literature?
Yes, so
in second year.
Yeah, so I don't have personal experience with it, but for literature, you go a bit more advanced into advanced literature. So it's still not the most advanced because that comes in third year. But now, instead of just doing short stories, you will do a bit longer texts. So they do 2 dramas that they study and 2 shorter novels. So then, it's a bit more, you engage a bit deeper. It's longer texts, it's a bit more complex. But it's also a great experience to deepen your knowledge of the language.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So that is second year.
That was second year. And now for the last year, the third year is again language and literature. And again, it's 2 separate modules. So it's 1 year of language, 1 year of literature. Now the language is basically you engage with different themes. So each time it gets a bit more complex, so that you can just use the language in a bit more complex situations in real life. So you do some more grammar, but it's all about actually being able to apply it in a bit more complex way. So you speak a bit more, and you have to write a bit longer. It's a bit more complex use of the language. So it's basically, so through the whole 3 years, it's building on top of each other. So you start with the simpler grammar themes, and then you keep adding a bit more grammar and a bit more vocabulary. So it's a big part of that is just gaining the vocabulary and the skill to use it.
I have a question. So does it ever become more individual work, or is it still based on the content that they give you, and you have to use that to do whatever the assessment is?
Like you mean the oral examination also?
In other courses, people do they have a thesis or something, and then they do individual research, and then they expand on that. Is there anything like that in German in the third year?
So I think the independent part comes especially in literature. So where they give you the text that you do, but it's a lot of it's a very open thing. So you really have to engage critically with the material, and they're really open to seeing what you really think about this text that you study, and that's where you really have to bring insight and elaborate on that.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so that's third year.
Yes, I can quickly just say the literature then is basically where they do novels. So they do proper, I think they do 4 novels. That's like the most advanced level we have for undergraduate years is where they do now the full-length novels, and it's 4 of them that they do. So that's quite complex, but then fascinating.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is very interesting.
Yes, yeah. No, German is one of my big loves. I really enjoy the language and being able to have it as an extra subject.
Yeah, and it's always best to know more, like a background of something. Because
Yeah.
it's beautiful, but it's nice knowing.
It's true. We do
where
it like
comes
it's a whole comprehensive process. It's not just here's the grammar and can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that's very important. Okay, peeps, so that was it for today. I hope that this was very informative and that you could learn as much as I have learned today. This is a very exceptional module, I would say. I love the sound of it and I love everything that comes along with it. So if you could just give us some advice, how would you advise people who would consider this as a course? Should I say major? Yeah, major.
First of all, I could really recommend it. Like even if you're not studying German like me, it's really an interesting thing to engage with, and it really opens up opportunities, especially if you want to go further study overseas or just go there one day and speak with the natives in a language. So I can really recommend it. And then I want to encourage you, don't be scared, even if you don't know any German, if you don't have it in school or anything. The people there in the German department, they are very, very welcoming and open. Yeah, so it's a worthwhile endeavor, I believe. And don't be scared to try it. And when you start learning it, just be open to you make mistakes when you learn a new language. Just try to speak it as much as you can and read it as much as you can. That's the way you learn it the fastest.
There we go. That's beautiful. I hope you guys have heard that and that you've taken notes. And I hope we will be seeing more of you guys doing this as a module. But yeah, totally. But thanks guys, that was it for today. In case you might have missed the whole introduction to the whole University of the Free State series, click over here to go check it out and leave a comment in the comment section. But until then, we will see you guys in the next video. Too.